Hello YouTube and YTPC, how are you all doing? Nice Monday afternoon. It was actually quite sunny and not so cold, but the ground is still all frozen and my shed still needs to be warmed up a bit before I go in it, but it's not too bad. So I'm smoking today this lovely pocket pipe, or a vest pocket pipe, which I got from Mr Brog. And what is special about this one, and another one I'll show you in a clip just in a bit, is that it's 9mm. I will put some attachments and links below, you know, where I got them, and about some previous videos which looked at pocket pipes like this, but they were pretty well all unfiltered, and I really wanted a filtered one, and I thought maybe you can't get them, but they're out there if you look around. So have a look. I've prepared a little examination of this and its brother, another one that I got just over Christmas. Have a look. Well, hi everyone. I have two pipes on the desk here which came over the last couple of weeks, and they're the opposite of those super big pipes that I showed on a couple of videos ago. These ones are the other end of the scale. Not necessarily low, the smallest pipes you could find, but they are pocket pipes or vest pipes, and so they're designed to tuck away in a modest pocket in your jacket or your trousers or your coat, unlit of course. Now there are smaller pipes than these ones, but I just wanted to show you these two. I'd always wanted to get a vest pipe like this. So let's talk about these two. First, I'll talk about the smaller one here. Now, I was searching eBay and Etsy, and on Etsy I found a gentleman in Bulgaria who has a bit of tabakiana, I think an antique shop, and was offering this one, and it really looked very perfect. It is pretty small, and both of these pipes, what makes them different is they're both 9mm. So this one, the idea is, of course, you can turn the stem the other way and it should then fit in your pocket even more easily. So this has got a filter in it, which I gave it a clean because this is an estate pipe, but didn't have much use on it, I must say. I just cleaned it out with alcohol, and I've actually smoked it 3 times. Now, you may say, who made it? This is the so-called D-Brand, and that's not Bulgarian where it came from. I traced it down to a Chinese brand which makes the so-called ebony pipes, and I even found some pipe shops online who were offering these so-called ebony pipes. I don't know if this is really ebony wood, and this sparked out a whole load of research on my part to look at the wood it was made of, because, and just here you see D-Brand, and these the headquarters of this outfit is in Wuhan in China, Hubei, you know, where the COVID came from. So I thought, oh my God, what have I done? Now, this was very inexpensive. It was like, I don't know, 17 francs and plus shipping. It added up to almost not much over 20 francs to get it here from Bulgaria. So it's not like I spent a lot on it. But I researched about Chinese pipes, and some people said, you know, don't touch them, they've got rosewood, and rosewood is perceived to be a toxic type of wood. Now, there's a lot of links below which go into toxic woods, but you have to be careful because basically the list is made for people who are working with the wood and the dust gets everywhere, and it's mainly the risk of inhaling the dust or ingesting the dust somehow. And of course that's a different story versus you putting tobacco in a receptacle and setting fire to the tobacco, because as we know, you know, it only scorches a bit of the surface, and then the question is, what about the smoke from the wood and the resins that there are in the wood? So it's a long story. To cut this story a bit shorter, apparently in China they use something called bubinga wood, which is not actually one of the rosewood family. It's called African rosewood, but people basically say from the plant genealogy it's not really a rosewood. It is a heavy wood, and you really feel it. This is quite heavy. Let's just put it on the scale. So if I put this on the scale, that's 60 grams right there, which is what a moderately heavy pipe would have. So for its size, it's quite dense wood, and I think it's stained black. I don't think it's really an ebony wood. It would be much more expensive if it were. But it could be this bubinga wood. Now, I cautiously thought, being an experimental scientist, you know, I can't just put it in a drawer and forget about it. I'll try it. And I must say, I've done 3 separate tries, and I've not really noticed anything weird or wonderful or harmful or bitter or nasty about smoking tobacco in this bowl. So I think it's okay. That's my personal view. Now, the thing is, on the list of toxic woods, you can find olive wood. You can find all oaks are apparently a certain degree of irritation and toxic. And we all know that oak and olive wood are widely used, and especially bog moor oak. Now, the moor oak, of course, has been buried, and maybe all the oils are leached out of it, or that's the idea that that's then safe. But my personal view is most of these lists of toxicity are aimed at people who are working with the dust and carving them and chopping them up, and are surrounded by clouds of this dust. And certainly we know that briar is on the safe side. That's probably why the French chose it all those years ago, not only from its thermal fire resistance, but also because workers didn't report any problems to use it. So there is still a little question mark. If anyone has got some really definitive evidence, I would be interested. Now, there's a ton of opinions on forums and people who say, I looked into it, but you never really see what the source of information is. And I do think it's a lot different if you are basically taking in the tobacco smoke, and very little is coming, I think, from a dense wood like this on the char. But some of you might rightly say yes, but it might be a tiny little bit, but you just don't know with the oils in the woods what they could actually create as toxins. But this is such a perfectly well sized pipe that I can't resist to keep using it. And as soon as I notice anything problematic, there's a link to a site which actually sells other pipes in very much the same wood style, black, and they're called ebony pipes. But ebony is so expensive, and that is this one. So expensive, 20 francs, and actually it smoked very well. It's quite well drilled. It's not actually totally, you see there, it's a tiny bit above the pit of the bowl, but it's not bad. So that's that story on that pocket pipe. Now, I did want to get one that was made of real briar, and for the longest time I've wanted to get a Mr Brog pipe. Now I've got one. This is a Mr Brog pipe, and this was more expensive, you know. I think, I don't know, about $50 or something like that with the shipping. Somewhere in Lithuania sent it out, but it's Mr Brog. You can hardly see on the pipe where it's marked. I wondered. There, you see, Mr Brog, US pocket pipe, and number 172, briar. And it's actually very nice briar, and you see how they've done it. They've put two sections here together, and it's quite large. And let's put it on the scale. So that's 78 grams, which is quite a weight for a pipe. So both of these are probably not the most ideal light pipes, and they're done in this umpal style, so you could clench them. And I don't know with that weight if it's one you can keep half an hour in your mouth without moving it. This one is nicely drilled, slightly better than the other one at the bottom of the bowl. The drill on the other end was better in the Chinese pipe. That's saying something, because if you look there, it's slightly off center, and I put a pipe filter through it just to make sure I can clean it. It was a bit tricky, but I know a way to do it now, so that's sort of okay. But otherwise quite attractive grain. This looks slightly reddier in the light I'm using here, but it really looks quite nice bird's eye grain on this side and the flame grain on the other side, so that's really not bad at all. And of course it had a Mr Brog filter, 9mm filter, so to keep it short, basically it is possible to get these in 9mm filter, because most of them you see are unfiltered. These are probably a little bit on the heavier side of so-called vest pocket pipes, but I think from the dimensions they are quite storable and fairly flat, so you know, I think in that sense these are, especially this one, quite transportable if you're going on a walk or something like that. So that's what I've got to say about pocket pipes and these particular vest models. But I'm very glad I've got them, and I will use both of them. So that's the story, and the second one, of course, the inexpensive one from Bulgaria, that little black one, which also smokes very well. I didn't have any issues smoking it. Did raise this issue about wood, you know, the wood that's used, we're all used to briar or cherry wood or pear wood or olive wood or even moor oak. But sometimes you wonder, are there woods really that you shouldn't use? And it seems that, you know, rosewood is, people say, well, that's not a good one. But there are so many different woods, and most of the health and safety data is about people who work with it, so have lots of dust and could inhale it and get irritation on their hands because they're covered in the dust, and you know, that's maybe a little different to us. Really 99% we're taking the smoke from the tobacco in. There's a little char smoke, of course, from the wood, but it would have to be quite a toxic wood to, I think, hurt you. But still, I think it's all a personal choice what you think is safe or best to avoid. This one, I'm pleased to say, is pure briar, and actually is was a bit more expensive. Mr Brog is inexpensive pipes and mostly cherry wood or pear wood, but he does a lot actually also briar, and they cost a bit more. You know, this was about, I think, 55 with shipping on top, you know, but still, if I look at the quality and the grain and everything, I'm quite happy with that. Took my lovely pouch from Merchant Services with some Carter Hall, and smoked perfect right from the go. It was charred already in the bowl from the factory, and performed perfectly. It's actually like an umpal in your mouth. And although this is a slightly heavier and larger one, I think the shape of it is perfect to slip in a pocket and just fold the stem around, and that makes it actually very compact and you know, unlikely to fall out. Put it in your pocket and zip it up, you know. So I'm very pleased with this, and this is going to be my walks in the woods, or one of my pipes that I will take for walks with me. Decided to put a little aromatic candle in this shed because with all the garden stuff here it can get a bit niffy, and this is a wood smoked bourbon I think I just picked up. So there are some candles which actually have, let's say, more masculine aromas, and not just the ones that the ladies pick up. So with that I'll leave you, and just as a farewell show you that 20-second clip from my walk the other day. Take care everyone, look after yourselves, bye bye.